Ooh. Hey everybody, how's it going? My tripod was acting up there a little bit, so hope everything's doing good. Hopefully, some people will pop in. I did announce this on my Facebook and my Instagram, I believe. No, yes, I think I did. Anyways, my friends, whoever's popping in, but I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna say thank y'all, everybody. Thank you for all of your love and your support. Thank you for being a part. I'm gonna probably say this again, maybe twice in this video. I'm very optimistic about my channel and just the world in general. I feel so grateful. I feel like things are getting better, and I'm kind of at almost like a crossroads or a point in my life where a couple of things are happening that are really nice to me. Um, a couple things that are just happening that are just wonderful just in my life. I know it might seem a very small thing in the world of fragrance and the world of social media, but I'm about to hit 2,000 here on YouTube. Thank you again, everybody popping in. What's your scent of the day? All those great things, of course. But I'm just expressing some gratitude here. Carlos Andrew says, "Well, bro, how are you doing? What's your scent of the day? It's so good to see you. I'm so grateful that I'm about to hit that 2,000, and on Instagram I'm about to hit 3,000. So I'm sure that's a very small thing in the world of things. It doesn't matter probably more than your friends or your family or your health or a lot of other things are probably a lot more important than that and just fragrance in general. But this is a passion. We're fragrance lovers, we're fragrance enthusiasts, and it means a lot to me. Just as much as somebody sending me something kind of validates that I'm a fragrance reviewer, that they're interested, in me putting out their fragrance and sharing it with you. Growing is also a form of validation, and I'm still humble. I still have a small head, and again, I want to reiterate if any fragrance reviewer wants to hang out with me, or if a fragrance reviewer out there wants to say hello, wants to chat with me, Facebook Messenger, chat with me on Instagram Messenger, and ask me questions. And I've helped people, I've given people advice. I mean, I'm not one of those untouchable, unreachable fragrance people. I know that people get very busy, and I'm not blaming or criticizing any of the bigger fragrance reviewers in any way. But some of them, it's kind of hard to reach them, and I'm sure they have busy lives and families, and bigger things to do than maybe comment on respond to every comment on a video, or do those kinds of things. But I have time, and I try to make it a priority. I respond to all of your comments, and I like to help build my little fragrance part of my little fragrance world that I've built here, this small community, and it means a lot to me. I feel like we're getting places. I'm wearing Giorgio Red today. Is that Armani? Which one is that? Is that Giorgio Armani Red? I'm not sure which one that is. Anyways, I'm so grateful, and I just want to say that again. So, I have a couple things I want to share with y'all, and the big fragrance topic. Y'all saw that on the title. I'm going to do that later into this live chat. Save that good stuff for the end of the video. But I do want to share some incense. I know that I've talked about that a few times. I've showed me burning incense live before, and today was really funny. I had one of those synchronicities. I had one of those situations where I just woke up in the morning and I'm like, I need to share Airage perfumes. And then I was like, I'm like, I mean, Airage, incense, Airage, incense. And I'm like, why do I need to do that? But I just went ahead and did it. I messaged the guy and we somehow got into a conversation, and he just relaunched his website, fully updated and improved, and he's trying to grow as a little guy out there selling incense. And I think he has some wonderful stuff. I think I've shared these before, but I'm going to share them again. Again, you can reach out to this guy and find his older website. It's called Health and Scent, especially on Instagram. That's a good, easy way to reach him. And I think you can find that if you search Health and Scent incense and just Google that, or Airage, Airage incense, Airage fragrances. So, anyways, he has a lot of kind of rare frankincense. Frankincense you're not going to find anywhere else. So, Giorgio Beverly Hills. Okay, I don't know if I've tried that one. I think I've seen a couple of the Beverly Hills around, but I need to try more of those. If remind me or correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't those some cheapies? I think they are. Um, Lance says, "How is it going, my man? Wearing Dua Casino Elixir. I've heard that's really, really good stuff. Dua making some of those mixes and some of those hybrids, I guess you could say. Um, yeah, that's some nice stuff, my friend. How's it smelling? How's it doing? I'm wearing a couple fragrances, testing a couple things out on me today. I have Bee Layered Geneva Chocolate, and I have House of Matriarch. That fragrance is something magic. If I say it, I'll get flagged, and of course, I don't want that to happen. It gets annoying. I'm like, come on, YouTube. Anyways, let's talk about some of these incidents real quick. First off, I am going to do some more of those documentary series. I know that y'all really want. I actually saw that Exotic Sense did something similar to some of the documentaries I had done, and he did it for the intro to one of his videos, and he did a great job. Exotic Sense is also another great channel if you want atars, if you want more Middle Eastern perfumery. He's not a fragrance reviewer that gets a lot of talk exactly, but he's very consistent. He's very hardworking. He's a bigger YouTuber. He has, I think, about 40,000. And as far as I can tell, a very genuine, a very good guy. And he's kind of, I don't know if he's had trouble with the fragrance community in the past, but he's kind of separated himself from a lot of the big players and a lot of the key players who get a lot of the spotlight and a lot of the popularity. So check out Exotic Scents if you want some atars, some Middle Eastern fragrances, and if you want to learn more about things like ouds and those kinds of things. And he knows a lot about ambers, wonderful, beautiful ambers. So, um, the first one I wanted to mention here real quick is Green Hojari. You got to check this one out. It's from Oman. This stuff is not, it's not terribly expensive, but it's a little bit more expensive than some of them out there. It's a good fragrance. It's not bad in price, but this stuff is considered sacred to a lot of people. And I was very lucky and very fortunate to get my hands on this one. I did burn a little bit of it, but I feel like I want to mix this one with oils and really kind of use it to the furthest, the most extent that I can use it. Nicholas says, "Love the channel, brother." I almost said Chanel. Um, do you have a top three loudest projection clear out of room fragrances? Scent of the day is Oud Satin Mood. Well, you're already in that territory. You're wearing Oud Satin Mood. That one has pretty good performance. Three super beast mode fragrances. What are some of the biggest fragrances I've ever worn projection wise? Um, I usually don't seek those out. I actually like fragrances a lot of the time that I don't. They don't have to be close to the skin or inoffensive, but I like fragrances a lot of the time that have more sillage than anything. They're not exactly projection monsters because if you're close to people, people can usually smell you, especially when you walk past people, walk around people, and you don't need a big shouting fragrance unless you're going to a club or you're a younger guy. Um, Ultramall is one of them that really is really quite loud. I recently did a review of Tequila Oud. That one was pretty loud, and both of those are quite sweet fragrances. Um, for me personally, on my skin, I don't know if it's my skin chemistry. And I think I just recently watched a video from Centurion, and he said something very similar. He said that Man in Black, Bulgari's Man in Black, essentially is almost beast mode. It might not be beast mode for the entirety of the fragrance, but for about the first hour 30 or hour and a half or 2 hours of that fragrance, it projects really heavily. That fragrance has reached out for me. I've had people smell me 20 feet away, and that was kind of in slightly cold temperatures. So that fragrance can really kick and can really get out there. Of course, y'all know that the EDT of Dior Sauvage has great performance. And Invictus is another fragrance I'm sure that y'all know is quite a loud fragrance. I actually sold it because I thought it was too strong. It wasn't a fragrance that I connected with on a personal level, and it was quite loud. Even with 4 or 5 sprays, that fragrance was really loud, and people could reach out and it could people could smell me 25 feet away, and I'm not even joking. I could tell that fragrance was kicking. So if you're a younger guy, maybe if you want to get a lot of attention, maybe you're going out to the beach or something and just having fun. Invictus might not work in the heat too well, but trust me, on a summer night on the beach, or if you're just going to a party, Invictus, Ultramall, and some of those other fragrances will get you noticed in a big way. I haven't tried too many that were crazy beast mode. I got a sample of the original Mugler Amen. It's the same one that comes from the metal flask. It's the vintage variation or vintage formulation, and that stuff was absolutely wild. Crazy concentration for sure. So if any of y'all know any beast mode fragrances, let us know down there below. I usually don't seek them out, but there I have tried. I know a few. Um, Hopefully, I helped you out there, Nicholas. Lance says, I love it. One of my favorite from the Dua line. Give it a try. I think you'll like it. I do need to give Dua more of a try. Honestly, I bought about a dozen of their older fragrances when they first started. Dua at times was coming after people if you gave them a lot of negative reviews. So at the time, I didn't want to start too much controversy, and I was kind of worried about my channel getting attacked. So I didn't say anything about those Dua fragrances. I don't know if they're even sold on their website anymore. But I'm willing to try their new fragrances, their new releases. But so far, I've really been kind of against blind buying. I don't do too much blind buying right now. Honestly, I sold a bunch of fragrances to a really good guy. He's really friendly. I just did some spring cleaning of some more cheapy like fragrances, and I'm selling off some of my niche as well. So I haven't been buying too much, but I do have a haul video coming. I'm getting some stuff in the mail. I bought some fragrances from FragranceNet. I bought Bulgari Man Extreme, Bulgari Man in Black, the Black Orient flanker, and I also bought Hugo Boss Bottled Intense Parfum. And all those are pretty nice fragrances, especially for the money. So let me get to the rest of the comments. Darren says, "Good evening. Good. It's good to see you this evening, Darren. You're always here for me. How you doing? It's good to see you. What's on your mind? What do y'all want to talk about? I got that big thing I'm going to talk about later in the video, but I still want to talk a little bit about this incense. Again, I had one of those moments where you just wake up and you're like, I need to do this, and then you do it, and for some reason, you needed to do something. So maybe it was an epiphany. I don't know. Anyways, with Airridge perfumes or Airridge incense, I did that. I reached out to the guy, and he was actually finalizing his website. He's putting up his new website. So I'm gonna real quick just introduce some incense to y'all. Most of this stuff is frankincense, but it's kind of exotic. It's kind of hard to get. Creed's been sold. Well, you already know what you already know what it is, but we're gonna talk about it a little bit. Hopefully, get some more people in here and have a conversation and talk about what's gonna happen, what do we think's gonna change, and all that good stuff. So, Green Hojari is sacred to a lot of people. I wanted to share this one again. I think I'm gonna mix this one with some oil and make this stuff stretch it out instead of just burning it at once. This stuff is gorgeous. Green Hojari is really special stuff. So the next one is Kartiri. I think it is from Somaliland, or I think it's Somalia. This stuff is slightly citrusy. It's very pretty happy, but it's still very complex. And this is a type of frankincense. This is one of my favorites of this kind, or from this brand or this house, I guess you would say. Um, One of my favorites for sure. I actually have a. I'm making some of my own oil, my own incense oil, and I got out the little bits of this, like the dust, and I put it inside my mix. So I'm hoping that that's going to turn out really beautiful. So I'm excited for that. I burnt some of I think it was the black sakura. Yeah, I think I burnt some of that today, if I remember right. And this stuff is beautiful as well. It reminds me of black copal a little bit. It might be very similar, but as you can tell, this is pretty like hand harvested stuff. It's pretty natural. It needs to be crushed up a little bit. It's pretty thick, but incense is wonderful, y'all. Fragrance comes from incense, and that's why I talk about this so much. If you're interested in the root of where fragrance ever came from, where did it start? What's the origin story? It came from incense. It came from things with smell, from what we cooked, from trees and the resins and the things we found, and we threw them in a fire, and we experienced the smell of incense, and that's where perfumery came from. And that's one reason why I love Timbuktu as a fragrance so much from El Artisan. The perfumer actually went to Africa and experienced that from themselves. That still African tribes and there's still people out in the world who practice burning incense. And he tried to capture that smell of that kind of incense ceremony. And they would put their clothes and their garments and everything over in this room of incense, and it was like a ceremony. So I think that if you love smell, if you want to experience smell in all kinds of different ways besides just bottled spray fragrances, with alcohol thrown in with them, there's a lot more to fragrance. There's a lot more to smell than just, eau de parfums and eau de toilettes and sprays. So this one's called Pharenia. I need to try this one out. I don't think I've really tried this one out too much. It's nice and light and ambery. It looks really beautiful. And this one seems to crumble a little bit better and a little bit easier than some of the others. So um, I don't know why that is, honestly. I am not a professional regarding frankincense so far. And this last one is called Negletta. And this one really shocked me at first. I thought it maybe was a forbidden substance or something. It has this blue, stony looking color to it, kind of gray. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very strange looking stuff. It's very hard as well, and it's a gum resin. And look into all this stuff too. It's fascinating. Anyways, let me catch up with the comments. Says Creed's been sold. Hi Benjamin and hi all. Yes, hello my friend. How are you doing? Hey Centurion. He's a great guy too. He's a fragrance reviewer. Check him out. What state are you in? It's 27 where I'm from. Not t-shirt weather. Um, I live closer towards the Gulf Coast. I don't want to give my state out. I like a little bit of privacy. There's the internet world can be a crazy place, and I've already had people try to snoop into my personal life, and I have people on Instagram try to message me with fake accounts, um, and try to get information out of me regarding fragrance. It's not like some random account where they're just trying to get your credit card number or something like that. There's somebody in the fragrance community who directly made a fake account and messaged me something to try to get a response out of me. So they would try to expose me, or they think some, I don't know, try to get some kind of information out of me. I'm not sure. And I've had people in fake accounts in my comments, people who they know something about fragrance, and I don't know who these people are. And I think it's kind of strange. So I'm trying to be kind of safe. Would y'all like me to face the light and move the cat? I can move this a little bit if y'all like, instead of seeing half of my face. So is that a little bit better? Anyways, uh, let me see. So I'm just gonna tell y'all that I live near the Gulf Coast. I live in the South. Not too far from Mardi Gras areas. So I live a little bit out there in the woods. So says hi Ben. Since Suds and Steel says love burning incense. I have some beautiful smell. Bakor that I use from time to time. Also white copal. Yeah, beautiful stuff. And copal's not too expensive. I really like the black copal. There's a bunch of interesting, beautiful incenses out there, and I feel like you can if you use incense right. Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful experience, and you can get a lot out of incense. It's not too overtly expensive, in my opinion, that somebody can't get out there and experience a little bit of it. Again, if you're just getting into it, you can go to a website called Soul Niche. They have a discovery set that's less than $20. And I think you get six or even more just small bags of incense. There are different kinds, and it's a great. I mean, it's wonderful. So Nicholas says, "What do you use to scent your home?" I'm on the verge of buying an oil diffuser and dropping some dupe oils, Zoha oil perfumery inside. I want to try Bakor ASAP. Yeah, that's another great topic. Thanks for mentioning that. Um, I actually am going to show y'all some essential oils. That was one of the big things I was going to bring out tonight. But also, Bakors are a big thing. That's a style of burning incense. Some of them are electric, some of them are not, but they kind of look like tents. And it's essentially it's a incense burner, and it's very popular in the Middle East. It kind of protects the flame, so there's really no chance of it lighting anything in your house. Um, I tend to burn. It does have a lid to it, but I do tend to just burn this outside or just out and about. And this is a soapstone, um, and I have this little ceramic in here that I usually put my charcoal on. There's sand underneath; it disperses the heat very well, and that's how I usually burn my incense. So I don't have to mess with the cleanup too much. So that's usually what I do. So, anyways, let's talk about some of those oils. What kind of oils do you use, man? What's your favorite types of oils? What's on your mind, man? Um, Let me see here. Anyways, let's jump. Let's jump to some of these oils. I'm sorry about that. I checking this out. Um, I have a huge essential oil of orange here. Huge one. This is 4 fluid ounces of orange oil. This is one I use very often. It can make your home smell very like energetic and fresh. I think just about everybody loves the smell of oranges. Like if you ever rip into an orange, there's the orange rind. There's the oranges and that kind of rind and that smell and the oil that kind of sprays everywhere and you can see it kind of spray into the air. Um, Orange is a beautiful note. So this stuff's actually pretty fairly affordable as well. You don't have to spend a terrible amount of money to get into oil diffusing if you buy more, I guess, available or normal oils. I would buy from a very reputable source. I have looked at discovery sets before, and if you buy some discovery sets of essential oils, and there are some brands that are kind of not very reputable, so you want to make sure that you're buying from somebody reputable when you get into essential oils. A lot of people dilute them. A lot of people mix them with other oils to kind of, you know, kind of cheat you. So this brand is pretty good. It's called Now. You can find them on Amazon or just about anywhere else out there. It's called Now brand, and they're pretty reputable for sure. Um, yeah, and I think oil also boosts your mood. It boosts my mood. And some people were claiming also that not only does it boost your health and your mood, but it also can affect your space with like bacteria and your health that way without also possibly fighting viruses. So like sage and some of that stuff out there is known to fight viruses. And some people were talking out there about how you could possibly um, maybe give yourself a little bit of benefit against maybe the virus that's been spread around, and if you use a lot of essential oil in your house. So the next one is cypress. So this is a very beautiful light note. And also, I do have to say that with essential oils, it's also another great way to learn about fragrances in general. If you want to learn about what goes into a fragrance, if you want to learn what makes a fragrance tick, maybe you've seen a note, maybe went on Fragrantica and you've seen the note of cypress before, or sycamore, or anything, and you said, "What does that smell like?" This is one of the best ways to train your nose. You know, some fragrances aren't avant-garde. The notes really don't jump out in a big way. And it's kind of hard to tell what's blended into it. I actually like wormwood a lot, and it took me a long time to figure out what wormwood smelled like because I wasn't looking for it and I wasn't expecting it, and not a lot of people talk about it. This cypress is like light and clear, skin-like, fresh, a little bit green. It's cypress is pretty nice stuff. So if you don't know what cypress is, and I do have to say it's a little bit floral as well. We have a lot of cypress around where I'm from. It grows in kind of swampy areas and it grows straight out of the water. So it's a big type of tree with a huge trunk. Think of an iceberg. Like there's the tip of the iceberg with a big underneath. There's a lot of ice and you only see the tip of the iceberg. Cypress trees are kind of the same way. They have huge roots and they live in the water all the time. If you're from the city, you probably think with a cypress tree would be quite a strange thing. So says, what do you recommend for an oil diffuser? I find ones that are use water aren't very good. Um, Honestly, I don't know of any other way to go besides water. And I use one with water. Most of the ones I see use water. Um, I think that's the best way to go. I'm sure that you could find maybe some kind of diffuser out there that uses heat at a very small amount that's very gentle. But I don't think anything's wrong with a water diffuser. Most of them are made that way. It's convenient. It's easy. And also, if you live in more of a dry climate, it also humidifies your light in your room, and it can also give you all kinds of health benefits for your skin. And if you live in a dry place, that can make a big difference as well. So, I don't know what to say there. I haven't heard about a lot of oil diffusers that don't use water. I bought a pretty affordable brand. I don't remember it, but you can go online and just compare and find which one works for you. It's a pretty simple machine. As far as I know, you don't need to go for an expensive one for sure. Save your money, but some of them just look nicer than others. Some of them have like a wood grain look. Uh, I wouldn't spend over, I don't know, $30, especially over 40 or 50. Anyways, um, people are coming here for fragrance, perfumes, and I'm talking about essential oils. Anyways, this one's called Prime Natural. This is some of the stuff that got me into incense. To me, this is special, y'all, and I'm sharing this with y'all if y'all come to my lives. This one is again from a brand called Pure Natural. I paid for this, and it's frankincense. This is beautiful stuff, high quality, very natural. And I'm sorry that people are making noises. I don't know what kind of party's going around here. So this is organic, certified, 100% pure. If you get one of these, they're pretty expensive in my opinion. These are 10 mils, and this will cost you about $20 if you find these. I'm sure someone else out there knows how to get these or find these for a much better price. Um, it's beautiful stuff. It's very high quality, but for 10 mils for $20 or so, that's about $2 a mil. Um, I use this stuff sparingly, and it is very potent. It's the same way with this one. This is another 10 mils. This is from a brand called Plant Guru, and this is myrrh. This stuff is very calming. It's beautiful. It's very soothing, like lavender is. And I love myrrh. Myrrh is very special to me. I definitely would check this brand out. It's called Plant Guru, and I think this was about 20 odd dollars. 100% pure essential oil. So this is the real deal stuff. If you get a big discovery set or get a bunch of oil and it seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. You're probably not kind of getting ripped off. So this one's called rosemary. I love rosemary for cooking, but honestly, I don't love this one for diffusing too much. It's a very interesting herbal smell. Um, I use this sometimes to mix with mint, and sometimes I do enjoy it, but just not all the time. It's a very very fresh herbal, interesting note. Um, Another one is citronella. If you've never smelled citronella, it's very interesting. It's actually a part, or used to be a big part of mosquito repellent. Mosquitoes, for some reason, hate this stuff. It's if you buy any of those oil diffusers, or there's certain brands like Off that put certain chemicals into the air. Besides the actual DEET, this is pretty much like a natural mosquito or a bug repellent. I'd love to mix this a little bit in with like natural cleaners like baking soda when you're cleaning your house and odds and ends, especially if you have a big bug problem. And this stuff really does repel bugs. So and it's really funny because if you have ever smelled Lucky, I think it's Lucky Scent, Lucky Number Seven. It's that brand of clothing with that. I think it's with a three-leaf clover. A lot of people like that fragrance for some reason. You can find it as a pretty good price for a cheapie, uh, but I recognize the smell of citronella in that fragrance. It was really funny that there is citronella in Lucky Number Seven for sure. No doubt about it. It's a pretty cheap ingredient, honestly. It's like a citrusy. It's a unique citrusy green smell to it. So, um, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff for sure. Uh, Let me see here. It says, everybody, get in the comments section. Ask me questions. I'm sorry that essential oils might not have been your thing, and incense, but I know this is a fragrance channel. So, what fragrances have been on your mind? What have you been into? What have you been wearing? Um, I've been wearing a lot of it. This is kind of getting closer towards the spring. I've been wearing some of my lighter but still spicy fragrances and some of my lighter patchouli fragrances. I recently got one called Prison Blues from IDEO, and I'm loving that fragrance. I am in love with that fragrance. It's so good. I haven't done a review of it yet, so I have a lot of things. I tell y'all about a lot of fragrances, and I have a lot of stuff to review. Trust me, I have I have like over 50 reviews ready to go, and I have over 300 videos now. I'm always got something going on. So, uh, anyways, what? Let's just jump into the business. Let's just jump what y'all are here for. The big news. Y'all probably already know it's Creed was bought out, but I'd want to get a conversation here. I want to get people into this conversation because Creed sold out, and I want to know, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think it is going to happen to the brand? You might be shocked. I was kind of shocked because a lot of people think Creed is doing very well as a company. They are a big name, they are a big brand, and of course, Creed Aventus sells like hotcakes. But if you really think about it, the rest of the brand, overall, the brand isn't doing very well. Uh, Original Santal's got a lot of flack. Not a lot of people buy it. Not a lot of people talk about it particularly. A lot of their bigger fragrances they expect to do very well don't get a lot of talk. Original Vetiver is kind of polarizing. Some people love it. Some people dislike it. I've seen crazy prices on Original Vetiver. I've seen people try to get rid of Original Vetiver and they can't seem to get rid of it. I've seen people try to sell bottles of Original Vetiver for like $90, and I'm not joking, like $90, and I didn't even buy it because I don't want it. um, there and some of their fragrances just don't get a lot of love. Some people like Royal Oud, but not a lot of people talk about Royal Oud. Yeah, they sold out to avoid bankruptcy, essentially. So Creed as a brand hasn't been doing very good. We as a fragrance community think they're doing so well because they are such a big name. Aventus is such a big name in the fragrance world, in the fragrance community. And Aventus, as far as the niche game goes, it's a pretty big fragrance. But we sometimes don't look at the perspective of outside of the fragrance community. It's easy to get into our little world and our bit and our hobby, and kind of not see what the average guy sees, and what does the average consumer want. The average guy on the street doesn't know what Creed Aventus is. The average guy on the street probably hasn't smelled Creed Aventus or doesn't even know what the brand of Creed is. And a lot of their fragrances, before their newer line, before um, you know, Silver Mountain Water, before Virgin Island Water, before Aventus. A lot of their fragrances just didn't do too well. A lot of their fragrances of the past are just discontinued, and that's usually something that a designer brand does if they're bringing out stuff really quick and they're bringing out flankers and they're just trying to get people on trends and hype. But Creed never does that. Was never that way. They released a fragrance every 5 or odd years. They didn't release a lot of fragrances, and they slowly just discontinued a lot of them. I think that their Green Valley is one of their best releases they ever had, and I really do like, as far as a lavender scent. Royal Scottish Lavender was a pretty darn good lavender scent, and it lasted for a very long time for a lavender. They've canned some of their best releases. I've heard people rant and rave about vintage Tabarome. I've never tried the vintage version, but I've heard people say that it was amazing. So they've, they haven't had a good track record with keeping around their older fragrances. It's usually you can usually look at a brand and tell if they're doing very well if they have a big fragrance. I mean, a big fragrance that sells, and the fragrance continues to go on and on for the years and through the years, and they have flankers, or that's kind of like a rock steady fragrance. Creed never had that until Aventus. As far as I know, and as far as I can see from the brand was kind of struggling for a long time, and I guess Aventus wasn't able to pick it up, and they were trying to cut corners and cut their price. Recently, they've really been taking away a bunch of the white ambergris, which is a bunch of the price. Ventus Cologne really wasn't a big hit. People talk of Creed Viking wasn't a big hit. I've also seen people try to get rid of bottles of Creed Viking for as low as $120 or even $100 or so, and at times, and some people, it's kind of hard to get rid of it if they didn't like it. Some people out there really do love Creed Viking and Creed fragrances, and I respect you completely. Virgin Island water changed the game for freshies in a big way, and some of these fragrances were pretty influential in the fragrance game, no doubt about it. But as far as people getting out there and paying for them, their prices were high, and they've built a really bad name for themselves. And they also really hurt themselves with the flacons. I think that might be one of their biggest weaknesses, and maybe they realized it too late about what was happening. They sell their flacons, you get a lot of juice. Sometimes you can pay 20 or $30 more and get almost double your juice, going from a 50 mil to 100, or sometimes even 100 to 150 mils or so. You can get a lot more juice. So they did that way with the flacons. Like, you could buy a huge flacon of Aventus, and you would kind of be getting, the same amount of juice for half price. And then people would sell that juice off and decant it. And I think that caught up and hurt their company. And I don't know why, as a company, that they decide they used to sell flacons like that. I don't. That's not a good business model, and people were going straight to the flacons, and then people were buying decants from them or just wearing it for themselves. If you wanted a Ventus, it's much smarter to buy, back in the day, a big flacon and get a lot more juice for a lot cheaper, especially if you're going to, wear it a lot of a Creed fragrance. It saves you a lot of money. So, um, bad decisions. I don't know what their prices are like. I don't know what their relation is with their buyers. I never felt like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the white ambergris Creed fragrance is marvelous. The white ambergris, that was the base, the signature style of Creed, is very expensive, and I understand that, and it smelled good. But for a lot of their fragrances, the quality never struck me, for the most part, as something overtly expensive or overtly high quality. Besides the ambergris, there's no doubt about that. That's nice. But a lot of their other fragrances, like, even though I like Royal Scottish Lavender, I'm like, does lavender really cost that much money? And original vetiver, it's like, does vetiver really, is it that expensive? And a lot of their fragrances, they kind of make it, really makes you think, it like $300 or $400 a bottle. So that's one of the said. I think it will go to the same route like Tom Ford. I completely agree. They're going to make a bunch of releases. This is my opinion. In the comment section below, let me know what you think. I think that Creed is going to make a bunch of releases. I think that they're going to come out with instead of 5 fragrances a year, they might. I meant a fragrance every 5 years. They might come out with 5 fragrances a year, or I don't know. They're gonna build their own private collection, and I think, like Tom Ford, I completely agree. And they're gonna have more of a regular line. I don't know what the prices are gonna be, but I'm assuming that because Creed still has a big name, people still like Creed so much. I don't think that they're really gonna make their prices match the quality like they should. I still think that they're gonna charge too much in the future. I really hope that they prove me wrong. I really hope that Creed doesn't do this and doesn't go that way. But I think that they're still going to charge people too much. But they're going to have like a private line, and that's maybe a little bit heavier in fragrances, maybe a little bit more concentrated, maybe a little bit more luxurious. And then they're going to maybe have a line that's less expensive. Maybe they're freshies, maybe stuff that's not so expensive. So I think that that's a real possibility, and I personally think that's what's going to happen. When people, when a purchase, when a collaboration happens between names, when somebody buys out a company, it's because there's potential in that company, um, and there's still some value in that company. If there was no value in Creed, if Creed had absolutely no value, if it was a hot mess, if it was a ticking time bomb and nobody wanted it, it would have just went bankrupt. But somebody invested in it and said, "There's a name, it has an image, it's a brand, and this brand, it can be redeemed. The money can be made, and that's how the world works. Is money. Not some people don't want to talk about money or seem to demonize money. Yes, we got to be good to other people, and yes, we got to treat people with respect and be honest and be fair. But Creed is going to go out, and they're going to try to figure out a way to make more money. Um, I again, I want Creed to prove me wrong, but I'm guessing that they're going to lower the quality and they're going to keep the prices about the same. So they're going to come out with a bunch of new releases, have a bunch of marketing for them, and odds and ends. But the quality's not really going to improve, and the price is not really going to improve either. So prove me wrong, Creed, but I think that that's what's going to happen. A lot more releases, but not much is going to change price wise. Um, Let me see here. It says may start seeing it more mainstream stores instead of high end stores. I agree. That's another one of the things that I think distribution's gonna go out. I don't really know the minds of the owners of Creed. Usually, a niche brand likes to be in boutiques. They like to be in specialty stores. But there's a big possibility, just like you said, Darren, that they might be trying to get into kind of like the everyman's niche. And Creed, that's what they were kind of trying to do for the longest time. And Tom Ford kind of has done that in a big way. But Tom Ford tries to be a little bit more seductive. They try to make fragrances that are a little bit more tantalizing, deeper, maybe a little bit darker for the most point or the most part, especially with that signature, almost patchouli like DNA. I think that Creed's going to come in. I think that that's a great point, and that they might come in and make themselves a lot more available in a lot of stores, and be the everyman's niche where it's accessible, it's easy to wear. A lot of their fragrances are more fresh. They're already there. They're already pretty fresh. They're pretty easy to wear, pretty easy to understand, and really get their name out there. I really would like to see like a lot more really nice citrus fragrances from Creed. They do citrus so well overall, like Virgin Island water. I mean, I don't know why they didn't continue on with a line of like Virgin Island water. Why not make a whole line based off like the tropics? Make me Bermuda water. Make me I don't know, some exotic place with water. Make me Haitian Haiti water, or some kind of wonderful place I haven't heard of, out there that's exotic and tropical. Make kind of continue that water line. That was a huge missed opportunity. Also, a lot of their fragrances, I felt like they didn't capture an image exactly. Some of them captured a place. Like Virgin Island Water did a good name, and that's why I'm pointing them out. Aventus is like victory and Latin, but original vetiver and original santal, those don't capture a story. Those don't capture the imagination and help you connect with the fragrance. I think that that's also something that they really need to change. And I'm curious to see if they're going to make all the names of their fragrances have like Latin roots, or maybe tell more of a story. I think it'd be better if all their fragrances had more of a story behind them and a better name. But they could start making all their fragrances have more Latin names, and have more of a Latin inspired kind of thing going on. Let me know in the comments section below. Did you think that Creed's marketing, like they used to say that they made fragrances in the past for kings and queens and luxury fragrances, and that was their image and that was their branding. Do you think that that was effective? Did you connect with that? And there's a lot of people out there who really don't even feel or believe that they're being honest about a lot of these things. So, do you think that that worked out there? Let me know in the comment section below. Um, Let me see here. Sink or swim, time for them. Yeah, I think that Creed's going to come out with a bunch of new releases, and I don't know if I think it's going to just like you're saying. I think it's going to be sink or swim. It's going to be exciting to see if people trust the brand and like the brand. And that they're going to be able to redeem themselves. I still think that there's a lot of people out there who are loyal to Creed, who have always liked Creed, and for a long time, they were one of the high-end niche brands out there, that you could get, and they had a big name behind them. I remember when I first started watching fragrance videos, I remember watching people showing their bottles of Green Irish Tweed, and they knew that they had something special and something high quality, and it was like a trophy. It was something to show that you had a big a big trophy, something special to your collection that everybody would kind of respect, because Green Irish Tweed, it's a pretty good fragrance. I like Green Valley more personally, but you know, Creed used to have a very solid name behind them, but they've really been falling short, and they get, and their fragrances and some of their things, and they've got a lot of criticism, especially from people like me. Like when they released Viking, they often it's the same way with video games or anything. When you're first to get to something, they'll charge you more for it because there's not as much of the product, and there's more demand, and they want to be a little bit exclusive. The people who are early to get to the product pay more, and usually they're the most eager people willing to pay for it. They want $550 for Creed Viking. I forget if I think it was either 450 or odd dollars for the Ventus Cologne, and I went off on him a couple times. That I thought it was kind of crazy. Do more of an outreach to the masses, because I didn't even know about Creed until about a year and a half, when prices hiking and dropping the volume. You're very right, Titan Fragrances. That's the way with a lot of these niche brands, and they're trying to break that barrier. And it's pretty difficult unless a lot of fragrance reviewers are really talking about them in a big way. And they're fairly accessible. If it's not, if you don't have your brand in every major city, um, and you don't really have a presence, the average person isn't probably going to hear about you. The average guy, we're in the fragrance game, and we love fragrance so much that we think, Versace and Gucci and Prada and all these fragrance names are just, everyday fragrances. You might even think they're cheapies, if you get them on the gray market. But for the average person out there who doesn't know fragrance and they're not into niche, they hear Versace, they hear Gucci, they hear Prada. Those are very high end names and very, very special and exclusive, and they understand those names. But the average guy and the average person doesn't know about Creed. They might not even know about Parfums de Marly, but Parfums de Marly has really been breaking barriers. It's really got a lot of popularity behind them, and some of these brands are getting pretty big out there, like Roja. Um, Nishane gets some love, but I don't know if they're really big so far. Nishane is a pretty darn good house, and I pray that they don't raise their prices. I think that they're priced right. I think that they're giving good quality, and if they price gouge us, I'm just that's gonna break my heart, because I've been a pretty big fan of Nishane. I think that Cardar Barcelona is getting a lot of respect. A pretty good. Some of their stuff are hidden gems. They're kind of breaking barriers. I think that they're priced, decently. There's a number of other brands out there that are getting some love here and there. Zerzov is a pretty darn big name out there in the niche world as well. So there's a number of these brands. I mean, the price hikes at Creed are ridiculous. The ingredients aren't that expensive. I agree, and they just made bad move after bad move. They kept releasing fragrances that didn't hold on. They didn't, really capture the imagination for people. They didn't really become big sellers, like Original Vetiver and Original Santal, and a lot of these fragrances like Himalaya. Even though some people absolutely love these fragrances, and I'm not discouraging or discrediting that some people love what you truly love, but I'm just saying that the average niche lover or the average fragrance person out there, they weren't crazy about these fragrances, really. Um, and then they did lower the size of their bottles from, I think they were 4.2s to 3.3s, effectively raising the prices. And then they charged the U.S. like $100 more per bottle. I've heard people in France say that y'all are paying over like $100 more for your Creed fragrance than we have to pay, and I don't know if that's because of tariffs, and I don't think it is. Other fragrances that are exported from Spain, and Nishane is from Turkey, Carner Barcelona is from Spain, Zerzhov I think is from Italy. I forget where they're from, but they aren't doing this to America. So Creed got they're just doing, and then they went after decanters when they kind of created that self fulfilling, that ticking time bomb of people decanting from flacons. Again, I don't know what was going in their mind. Why were they selling flacons like that? Um, and if they really wanted to stop somebody from doing that, why didn't they just like limit one customer to like one flacon, and then they can, I don't know, refill it or something like that. I don't know. Um, Creed has made a lot of bad moves as a company, a lot of bad moves. Creed is overhyped with poor longevity. I agree, Creed fragrances really just don't last for the most part. That's another big point. Thank you for reminding me of that. You know, I usually get, I mean, it depends on the fragrance. Virgin Island water on my skin was like a 4 or 5 hour fragrance. Maybe vintage batches lasted longer. That one was beautiful though. I liked the smell. Silver Mountain water was decent. I got anywhere from 5 or 6, maybe 7 if I sprayed a lot. Aventus, that one was always really iffy for me, and sometimes I felt like I really was going nosmic, and I really did have other people smell it, but it kind of bothered me that sometimes that fragrance seemed to disappear on me, and it made me I couldn't smell it, as much as like 5 minutes after I sprayed it, or 10, or maybe even an hour or two later. That's like I couldn't smell that fragrance anymore, and I like the smell of the Creed Aventus, especially 2015 batches, even 2016 sometimes. I really Creative Ventus smells good. I think that most people think it does, but for pineapple and birch tar and what were the other notes? Some like black currant and some apple. And first, I know oak moss is expensive, but they taken that away. They took away most of the smoke, and they took away a lot of the ambergris. It's like just for like pineapple, apple, and whatever other fixatives you're using in a Ventus. It's like, is that really a $300 $400 fragrance? Um, I don't think the value's there, even though it smells pretty nice. Um, I think my dad's again a huge Creed fan, and I think he recently got a bottle of the new one of the 2020 batches. A lot of them are still labeled as 19, kind of like a 19 batch, but they're 2020 batches nonetheless. And he says it's even worse. It's a big drop. So a lot of people haven't been talking about the Creed Aventus batches for 2020, and it's very suspicious. The people who are distributors and sellers, they often talk about to themselves or amongst themselves if about different batches. And if you go online like Base Notes and a lot of these other places where people usually chat about this stuff, it was silent for a long time. And I'm gonna get my nose on that tomorrow or today, and I'll let y'all know what I think about that stuff. Um, if it's as bad as my dad thinks it is, I'll get my nose on it tomorrow. But it's gonna be crazy. Original Santal is superb. Yeah, man, I respect you, man. Just Josephine Forsberg. If you love that fragrance, rock it. It is a beautiful, nice, smooth fragrance. It's kind of sweet, and it's funny that you say you love it because I think I did a review of it. I forget if I did a full length review or not, but I did say that I think it's perfectly unisex. Everybody can wear it, but I do think that maybe it would work better on a lady, and I'm so happy that you commented, Josephine. So, um, let me see. Eric Smith says, "I remember the first time I smelled a Ventus, I couldn't believe that they charged over $300." Yeah, that's the thing. When you can get a similar smell, when you can get something similar, for I don't know, 30, 40, $50. And that's another thing. The clones have really even though Aventus sells very well for a niche brand and a niche fragrance, a lot of these clones have really ripped into Creed, and I think competition is a good thing. I want y'all to remember on my channel that I always say competition is a good thing. There's a lot of people out there who really are disturbed or really dislike clones. You can have your own ethics and opinions on different things. Some people get really bothered if any brand takes inspiration from Aventus or any other fragrance. But I think competition is a good thing. It helps us as a consumer. It helps us get what we want. I think that seriously that when Aventus saw all this competition coming down the pipeline, Pineapple Vintage was a brand. The only reason Pineapple Vintage became so big and so successful, they're a pretty big company now. Pineapple Vintage, if y'all have ever heard about them, and they started out with just a clone of just a Creed Aventus, the Pineapple Vintage fragrance, and then they made a smoky batch, and then they made like a extra fruity batch, the intense version, and then they started making more flankers and more clones of Creed. There's a lot of companies that have come out and become very successful because they've cloned Creed fragrances because their prices are too high. Creed should have seen that happening and should have either lowered their prices to match the competition, or they should have just made more fragrances that were so good that people, that the clones didn't matter. But Creed released so few fragrances and they kept their prices so high and they kept twiddling their thumbs and never changed, that the competition and that they were suffocated, I think, out of the market. Even though Aventus does sell, Aventus, people still talk about it, people still like it. Y'all know that how popular Club de Nuit Intense Man is. I mean, that fragrance is like, I don't know how arm off. I don't know how much millions they've made off of that fragrance, but that fragrance is a force to be reckoned with. Love it or hate it, want to destroy your bottle or love it and cherish it. That fragrance sells, and almost everybody knows about Club de Nuit Intense Man. So there are a lot of brands out there, just clones and clones and clones upon Creed Aventus and Creed in general. And I think it's started to choke out the brand. And I think that they need a new beginning. I'm not saying that they should discontinue all their fragrances that they have, but, I some of their best sellers, they know what really sells. I mean, I like Virgin Island water, and I think Silver Mountain water is a good creation. And there's a few of them here and there, but I don't know what would be best for them to keep around. But I wish that they would make those fragrances into a fresh collection, lower the price, and then make an exclusive collection. And I think that their exclusive collection should be higher end fragrances that are more artistic, more unique, more niche like, more complex, maybe deeper, maybe darker. And they should be the more expensive ones. Maybe for 100 mils you can charge us the 400 for your high end line of very complex, expensive fragrances that are extrate concentrations. So, and then maybe they should sell their fresher fragrances, and maybe some of those water line. Take my suggestion, make like a Virgin Island water line, like a Tropics line. Give us Bermuda water. I want Bermuda water. Give us you know it waters from all around the world, and kind of what that smell would be. Mediterranean water. Give us some fig. Give us some of that crazy stuff. Give us Hawaii water. I guess that's Virgin Island water, I guess, but amp up the coconut. Give all kinds of different places in the world that have wonderful waterfalls, and the tropics and the Caribbeans, and all these kinds of places like Haiti, and I don't know. It would be so fun. It would be so fun. And let me look at the comics. They're all synthetic ingredients too. I wouldn't be amazed. I wouldn't be amazed if not a lot of their fragrances have too many naturals. The white ambergris I think was authentic, but they've started taking that away a lot, and that was probably their most expensive thing in their fragrances. White ambergris is not cheap, and they started taking that away, and saving a lot of money. So that was something really, really crazy as well. So, anyways, let me see here. Should have better quality control and not such a bad run of batch variations. That's a good point, Titan Fragrances. Do you think that their batch variations hurt Creed? Do you think that Creed was hurt as a brand because there was so much talk of variations? Some people actually have claimed that Creed did that intentionally because it helped spur controversy and talk about their fragrances, that it got people interested in their fragrances. Do you think that Do you think that actually hurt them instead of helped them? That's a good point. You could definitely tell me more about why you think that, but I think that it does hurt customer trust overall. I think that it does hurt customer trust to know that the fragrance you buy now or you could buy today is not going to be the same, and everybody else has something different. I mean, it's like, imagine going to McDonald's and the person in front of you gets a burger. The person, a couple people up there got a different burger. You get a different burger, and then people down the line get a different burger, and y'all all ordered the same thing, and you all paid the same amount of money. I think that would hurt customer trust and dependability and all those kinds of things. So, hey there, Randy. How you doing today? What's your scent of the day? We're talking about Creed. We're talking about Creed that's been sold out. I've heard that actually, I think it's the owners of the brand, or the original perfumers, who I think are the owners, are actually going to hold on to some of their rights. I think that they're probably going to be a part of the creative process with their fragrances. and I really don't know how much control that they have, in the brand. But Creed's going to change a lot. Creed's going to really try to make a comeback in a big way, become profitable again. That probably means, I don't know. I'm hoping not, but I'm guessing that that means maybe lower quality and maybe the prices are the same, or I don't know what they're going to do. Another big thing in the I probably shouldn't I probably shouldn't even say all the things I know, but I know that a lot of people, if you're a fragrance collector in the world, that you want smaller bottle sizes. You really don't need 100 mils of a fragrance most of the time, especially if it's unique, if it's long lasting, and if you have a lot of fragrances as a fragrance lover. So you can buy a smaller amount and pay less money, and people are much more comfortable with paying. Even if it's 50 mils, they'd be much happier paying $200, even though it's essentially the same price for 100 mils for 400, because it's more bite size. That's why a lot of people buy decants and samples and all these things. So, um, let me see here. The batch changes because of the UE laws made certain ingredients illegal. You're right, Josephine. That was a big part of the game. The companies have to reformulate their fragrances if they play the game with distributors and sell to people, especially if you're in certain countries and certain places, and if you're using those synthetic ingredients, you have to uphold regulations. That's one reason why I like indie brands. One reason I like self-taught perfumers, and I'm going to become one of them, is because especially in the USA, you essentially, you do want to be careful with people's allergies and whatnot, and certain concentrations of certain things that can be dangerous. With things like clove, clove actually can be an irritant for skin, but you know you can have your freedom to make whatever you want and sell it to whoever you want at any time. Shipping fragrances with high alcohol concentrations is a problem, so you either have to sell atars or figure a way to get the alcohol content down. But yeah, I think it's a whole mess. Y'all probably know about Firmenich and some of these synthetic, I guess, ingredients producers and the regulations and all that. So, for hardcore collectors, the variations may be a plus, but for the masses, it's a negative. Yeah, that's a great point, Titan Fragrances. I agree with you. I agree with you 100% there. Collectors might find it very fun to play around and buy different batches of Creed Aventus or whatever it might be, but the average person wants to know that they're getting what they heard about their fragrance reviewer talk about, what their friend wore yesterday. They want to know that they're buying the same fragrance, that it smells the same. And again, I don't mention batch variations too much, but I have had people tell me that there aren't batch variations, or that they don't matter as much as some people make them out to be. And trust me, they do. I've smelled batches that smell more black currant like, more apple like. I've smelled ones that have become more toasted. I smelled one recently that kind of blew me away in a weird way. I did, but not because I liked it. It was because it was strange. It was a Creed Aventus that became more mineral like. It became more cement like, and almost like a little bit more aquatic. It was really, really odd. There's batches in the past that used to be more oak moss heavy. There's batches that are extremely smoky. I mean, super smoky. And Creed, Aventus used to be somewhat smoky, somewhat oak moss heavy, and lots of ambergris, lots of pineapple. These days, there's like almost no smoke or no smoke at all. There's almost no oak moss, pretty much no oak moss, and there's little to no ambergris. And they've been playing around with the pineapple. My dad's was mad over. I talked to him a little bit earlier today, and he was kind of mad. He said the pineapple's been messed with, and I don't know what to say. Creed Aventus is a mess. Um, Anyways, Millesime Imperial is one of my absolute favorite fragrances, but you can't charge over $200 to $300 for something that lasts an hour. Yeah, Eric, I'm 100% with you. I haven't tried that fragrance in a while, but there are a lot of people who do love Creed fragrances. Some people love certain ones, and of course, I respect you 100%. But yeah, again, the price is just absolutely wild. For me personally, I don't. I mean, I mean, the white ambergris is nice, but they kept taking it away. So essentially, at this point, when there's almost no white ambergris in their fragrances, what's the big difference in quality versus a Creed versus a Carnar Barcelona? You can get a good fresh Carnar Barcelona fragrance and get 100 mils of it for $150. What's the big difference in quality? I really don't smell much of a quality difference, and I dare say that I like the style, and I even get better performance out of a Carnar Barcelona. So, should have worked on longevity improvements, as they say, and life change or be moved. Yeah, I agree, and that's one thing with the clones. That's one reason the clones and all these people came in, and they saw that this brand, that there was an opportunity. That's why some of these clone brands became so successful and so big that Creed wasn't willing to budge. They didn't lower their prices. They didn't improve their quality. Hey, you don't have to lower your prices, Creed, but why not give us, even stronger concentrations? Make the fragrances so beautiful and so high quality that we would never even maybe even want to go to the clones, because the clones don't even compare to the quality in your Creed fragrance. Maybe we'd be willing to pay it if you had excellent quality and longevity to your fragrances. But these clone houses, they came and they kind of conquered. Besides them kind of choking themselves out, Creed had one hand on their throats, and the clone houses had another hand on their throats, and Creed has just been suffocated. So that's the way I look at it. Um, Josephine says, "Wow." Josephine says, "Just 1 hour. That's dreadful." I'm not sure if it's literally an hour. I know she's probably exaggerating, but y'all know what she means. The longevity on Creed fragrances overall just aren't good. Some of them are decent. Some of them you can get 5, 6, maybe 7 hours. But a lot of them, especially the aquatics and the freshies of Creed fragrances, they're 5 hours, 4 hours. They're somewhere in that kind of territory, and not a lot of people seem to talk about it too much. And for the price, I don't know. I don't see the quality for the price. And I've already kind of criticized some of the Maison Francis Kurkdjian fragrances, their Aqualine. I've smelled quite a few of those from their Aqualine, and I'm like, I really don't feel like the quality is there for the price either. Um, you know, how do you justify your prices on these aquatics that are using synthetics, to charge that much money, and the longevity is not amazing on them? Um, I'm like, where's the justification for this? And I think that people in the fragrance community are starting to wake up to what makes a fragrance worth it. What's worth your money? What's not? Look at your options. Look at these brands. Look at all of these offerings. Look at all of these brands who want your money, who want your business. And Creed's not the only player. Creed's not the only person playing the game. They're not the only kid on the block. You can go to any other person and find good fragrances that last. Um, Again, I do want to mention Naomi Paris real quick. They do have some nice freshies, and in my opinion, they are a different style, but they are fresh and light, and they essentially are. I guess they're the same as Creed quality these days, and their fragrances are $200 for 100 mils. So there are options out there for y'all. So let me see. I give the new owners 2 years to change or shut the doors. Creed forever. Yeah, Creed better make some big changes. They better come out strong. I think that lots of people love aquatic fragrances, so I'm saying Creed, you got to come out banging with some amazing fresh fragrances, things that people love to wear, that are easy to wear, highly versatile, compliment getters. I say make us Aqualine, give us the Bermuda water, give us all the beautiful different waters from all around the world. I say come out with some creative fragrances, come out with a lower tier line that's more affordable. Maybe some of your aquatic fragrances and some of your more, light, different fragrances like light and spicy, and some of these other fragrances that are pretty light, like maybe a gentlemanly fragrance with, the oak moss and some of these other notes. Give us, things that are really wearable, and then give us the higher line. If you want to charge us more money, give us the higher line that's higher concentration, long lasting, superb quality, and actually put some creativity into those fragrances. Have some amazing noses. Maybe collaborate with some people or get some inspiration, because you can't release a fragrance every 5 years or every 10 years. especially when those fragrances aren't huge top sellers. And then if they don't sell, you just discontinue them and throw them in vaulted, and then bring them out maybe if you feel like it on a blue moon. I don't know. I don't know the management at Creed. I want to say that if anybody knows them, or if anybody if this message ever gets to them, I don't hate you. I support you, and I actually wish that you would have that you would have me involved in your team. You know, I want to help you as a company, but you're struggling, and you're struggling big time. You're struggling. Um, so yeah, they don't have a lot of time to fix things. You know, the clones are still coming. They're still working and they're grinding big time. The clone houses are only getting bigger. They're only getting stronger, and they already have a big, a force to be reckoned with against them. They've built their own replacements. They built their, the people who are going to replace them. They've already give them the opportunity. They already have their foot in the door. So you better change things up, and better make it quick. Better fix things. Carly Warley says, "Hey Benjamin, not sure if it's near the end of the party here. It kind of is again, Carly, but I understand that you're going to show up to the party and maybe scoot and skedaddle when you want to. So it's good to see you, Carly." And it says, "But hey, I arrived. How's your night going?" Things are going nice, Carly. We're talking about Creed. Did you hear that Creed was sold out? Did you hear that they got bought out by a company, and a lot of changes are probably going to come? And I've already seen one person on YouTube who is already trying to do damage control. They're like, "Hold down, people." They're like, "Stop it. Creed's not going to change that much." They're already trying damage control. They're like, "Oh, Creed's not going to change that much." Well, one thing, that's you're trying to do damage control, but if that's what you're trying to do, and if Creed doesn't change, you might as well shut your doors, because if you don't change, and if you don't improve, then you're going to be gone. Like all these companies coming out that got a lot of traction behind them, got a lot of popularity behind them. Roja's doing pretty well. Nishan is doing pretty darn well. Carnar Barcelona, Maison Francis Kurtajan, and some of these indie niche are actually starting to bubble up too. The competition is getting thicker, Creed. Competition is getting strong, and you had the funny thing was they used to have the crown in the niche world, in the niche community. I mean, yes, there were other niche companies, and there were people making fantastic things in smaller batches and all those things. But as far as the mainstream niche, Creed used to be it. Creed, if you talked about niche, you probably had to talk about Creed at one point or another, because they were it. They were one of the few kids on the block. They were accessible. People knew about them, and they had YouTubers behind them. I mean, YouTubers loved Creed back in the day. Back in the day, people talked about Green Irish Tweed like it was a trophy, and Creed had a crown on their head. And they've fallen from grace. They've fallen big time, and it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. Let me see here. It says exactly why clone houses can keep other houses pushing creativity. Exactly. When there's more companies and they're all kind of fighting each other for your attention, for your money, us as the consumer, us as the fragrance lovers are going to win. They're going to, you can't get by as a niche company by just putting, really heavy synthetic fragrances out there with not a lot of creativity, and they don't last. You can't do that kind of stuff anymore, Creed, or any other kind of niche brand. You can't put out fragrances that are unfinished, or don't have amazing quality, or don't have the right amount of projection. In the future, us as consumers are going to see what's worth it and what's not worth it. And if you don't give us enough value for our money, it's like, we'll just go somewhere else. We'll just go to the brand next door, and we don't have to buy from you. That's one thing that really bothers me, when you can have your own opinions on clones and stuff, but when people act like you have to buy from a brand because they put out their product, we don't have to buy from anybody. Us as a consumer, when somebody tells me I have to buy a brand because it's a big name or people respect it, I'm kind of a little bit of a rebel at heart. And when somebody tells me something like that, I'm like, no, not only am I not going to buy from you now, I might even just get a pack of my friends, and we might even go against you. Well, we might try to buy, if you're Nike people and you say I have to buy Nikes, I'm going to get a bunch of friends and buy Adidas, and we're going to start kicking Adidas around and try to get everybody to love Adidas instead of Nike. So, you know, you got competition's a good thing, people, and that us as fragrance reviewers, one of the big things I do is help people to try to find fragrances that are worth their money, and yeah, that's one reason that Creed is fallen short. Creed's fallen. So, anyways, niche all day. Why indie houses are becoming my favorite? Yeah, if you want creativity, if you want a good value for your money, if you want people who are humble, who are down to earth, I mean, not all indie houses are perfect. I don't want to tell y'all that all indie houses are, amazing. Not all of them are. Not all offerings are, amazing, but there are some goodness to honest people out there making indie fragrances, making them out of their home, making them out of their backyard, and they're self-taught. They have a lot of creativity, and they're doing a lot of good work, and they're pushing a lot of envelopes. They're willing to have a big catalog of fragrances and or maybe even take a risk on a type of fragrance that's pretty risky, and they don't know what the kind of results they're going to get. And you know, a bigger brand would not take that kind of risk. A bigger brand would say, not everybody's going to like it, or maybe might not get enough sales and all these other things, and they might have missed out on a big top seller because they didn't know the trends. They don't really know what people like, and maybe they're just not willing to take enough risk that kind of way. So um, Irish Tweed was special. Yeah, especially when it first came out, a lot of people love Green Irish Tweed, and Green Irish Tweed is beloved by a lot of people, and I respect it. For me, Green Valley is more what I wanted, and when I smelled Green Valley, that's what I wanted from Green Irish Tweed. That's what I always had wanted. But that's just me personally. If you ever do get the chance, I know it's terribly expensive and it's hard to get, it's really not worth how expensive it is. It's really not uh, I don't know. It's really not worth the 400, 500 odd dollars that it cost. But Green Irish Tweed is a darn good fragrance, and it's a shame that they can that one. So clone houses have a lot of companies shaking right about now. You're very right, Darren. That's another point I was making. Clone houses, love them or hate them, but they're a force to be reckoned with. A lot of these niche brands are starting to get scared. I think I feel that way, and I think that way as well. If you're a big name brand, if you have a very popular fragrance, somebody's going to come out there and somebody's going to make an offering that's a third of your price and that's going to smell 95% similar. If you're just using average synthetic ingredients, or if you're not using special natural ingredients, that's one of the big things why some of these brands are, you might think it's a really high end fragrance from Tom Ford or somebody, but the same ingredients are available. If you have IFRA, a license for IFRA, if you have a license for Firmenich, to buy these, aroma chemicals, these ingredients, these same people can buy those ingredients and essentially recreate that fragrance and sell it to you for a lot less money and still make money, because again, these are luxury products. You're paying a lot of money for they're luxury goods. That's the way luxury goods are. It might only cost Tom Ford, I don't know, 50 odd dollars or 40 odd dollars to produce a Tom Ford private blend, and then they're going to charge you 350 dollars. So a clone house can come by and charge you 40, 50, 60 odd dollars, maybe $70, and it's going to smell pretty close to the Tom Ford, and it's good, you save a lot of money. So going forward, these brands either got to use rare ingredients, special ingredients, maybe ingredients with copyrights, or they got to make it so interesting and so complex, or maybe so high quality that nobody even dares to try to recreate it because it's not going to be the same thing if they try to. Not a lot of big name niche brands are particularly doing that. There are some here and there, but oh, my goodness. Gotta run, y'all. Have a great night. Been great. Hey, Titan Fragrances. Thank you so much for stopping by. Check him out. He's another goodness to honest, smaller reviewer. He's a good guy as well. Titan Fragrances. And I think, I forget who else popped in here, but you usually have some good reviewers pop in here. There's always lurkers and other people. I don't, who knows who's here. So, um, So let me see here. Got to run. Not even that. Maybe $4. The rest of the bottle and the marketing. I don't know if it's that bad, Josephine, but it might be. I don't know. Synthetics can get pretty affordable. I've looked at them, and also if you can't imagine the bulk that these people buy, for example, if you buy 100 mils of an ingredient and it costs you, some of these synthetics for 100 mils can cost, I don't know, anywhere from $5 to $15. I have looked at fragrance ingredients. I do want to become a self-taught perfumer. I can only imagine what their cost is because they buy in such huge bulk and in the business deals and the contracts that they have. If it cost me $5 to buy 100 mils of that, they can probably get it for two. If I pay $5 for it, they're buying such huge amounts of it and they have a good contract, they can probably get that for $2. So if I was to make the fragrance, the ingredients, let's say it cost me $30 to make the ingredients, it might cost them $13 to with of ingredients because they buy in such huge bulk. Uh, you know, Discounts. Anyways, Josephine says, "Yep." Anyways, I hope that y'all feel like I'm not bashing Creed. I wish them the very best. I think it's actually kind of sad that they fell from grace. I wish them the very best, and I want them to succeed. But they have been on the same road. They've been doing the same thing from year to year to year. They haven't changed. They haven't improved, and it just came to the point where they've gotten suffocated out of the market by clones, and because of their, they've just messed up so much for so long. The skeleton in the closet's come for them, and it started to eat them alive, and now they're in damage control. They're trying to save the company. I hope that they can save the company. I hope that they can make things right, but I don't know if they will. That's kind of, I don't have too many more thoughts unless y'all get me thinking about something else you want to talk about. Really, I've kind of brought out most of my thoughts about Creed and what I think about them. Um, you know, I think that they have a lot of potential. I think that they can be saved as a company, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think that they're going to have at least 4 or 5 new, great, fresh, and easy to wear fragrances, and then at least 4 to 5 very good artistic fragrances for like a higher concentration, artistic, more niche focused lineup. So they're gonna have to come out with 8, 9, 10 fragrances that are all heavy hitters and rebuild their name. It I don't know how much value there is in the Creed name, honestly. I don't know how much value there is in the Creed name. And again, I don't hate Creed. I'm not saying this to bash them. Um, they might want to consider actually renaming their brand. That might seem harsh. Some of y'all out there might be like, "Whoa, Ben, hold up. What did you just say?" They might actually need to consider renaming their brand because of how much they messed up over the years. They messed up for so long. They've got that, some people still love them. Some people have a really bad taste in their mouth about them. Then I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not in the boardroom. I'm not in the corporate meetings. I'm not there with the business suits. I'm not there making presentations. I don't know what's being said. I don't know what the data is. I don't know the percentages. I don't know the trends. I don't know what's going on with their with all the methods and all the power that they have to evaluate the customer and the marketplace. I don't know what's going on, but I do want to say that they can come back. I'm hopeful, but it's definitely going to take work. So I think it's time for you to write a book, Ben. Thank you, Darren. Actually, I'm a very creative guy, and I've thought about writing some books. I read a lot of books, especially when I was younger. I have a very creative, and I'm very informational. I love to educate people, and maybe it's one of the things I truly need to do because it's one of the things I've been scared to do is write a book because I have a lot of different topics I want to talk about, a lot of different things, and also maybe even possibly do my own fantasy series one day. But I don't know about that. But I do feel like I need to get the word out on some of these things, and I do think that they really matter. And I thank you for your vote of confidence. Maybe I am well spoken enough and persuasive enough that I get a point across well enough that I'm that I'm helpful and that I'm adding value in a big enough way that somebody out there might want to buy a book or might want to hear my voice. So, time for me to hit the hay. Night, all. Night, Centurion. I'm about to wrap this up. I'm just going to say some more thank yous and wrap this up real quick. Everybody, if you want to learn more about essential oils, I'm still learning myself. Feel free to message me on my Instagram or my Facebook Messenger or get in my comment section. Let me know if you want me to make a dedicated video about essential oils and oil diffusing. I'd be very happy to do that. Again, check out Airage Perfumes if you want some very exotic, very hard to get frankincense. I think that they're good people and they've treated me right. They've done me right. And as also, I want to thank all of you for being here today, for dedicating your time, for spending your time with me this evening. You could have been anywhere else in the world. I know people say that. I'm truly grateful for you people who love my channel, who support me, who are my friends and my fragrance family. It means a lot to me. If you're still here, Carly, you're wonderful. And Darren, you've always been here for me. And some of you other wonderful people out there. Centurion's a great reviewer. I'm trying to remember everybody's names. Eric, you're wonderful too. Josephine, you're great. And all these people. Randy, thank you, all you people. If I missed any of you, I'm sorry. And thank you so much for the love and the support. It's always fun. When I first started fragrance, this is what I got in here for. I do get freebies sometimes, and I do share things with y'all. But no, this is why I got into the fragrance game: is to share passion about fragrances, the love of fragrances, and all of these fragrances out here. That's why I started fragrance reviewing. I didn't have high expectations, and I put a lot of darn work into this. I have over 300 videos, and thank y'all all for your comments and being here with me and enjoying fragrances with me, because there's so much out there. There's so many fragrances. There's so much to love. Have a great evening. Have a great evening, Randy. Um, Carly Warley says, always appreciate your opinions. You're awesome. Thank you, Carly. You're awesome too. It's good to see you. Darren, peace out, everybody. I hope that y'all have a fantastic weekend. Take it easy tomorrow. Eat some good food. Enjoy some fragrance. If you burn incense, burn some good incense. If you diffuse oil, diffuse some oil. Find a good smell. Look into some of this stuff. And of course, always be on the lookout for another great fragrance. And I hope that y'all enjoyed the live this evening. Thank you so much, my friends. I really do appreciate, again, all the love and the support. And I know this is really nerdy, but I just thought of doing it, so I'm going to do it for the heck of it. Live long and prosper. Peace out, my friends. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one. Care about you. And bye.